how do I do well in this job? How do I impress everyone? How do I get my name out there? So I understand if you're feeling like lost or feeling tired, remember that it's completely normal, and I hope that everything I cover in this video is going to help you as well. If you're new here, my name is Hosanna. I am known as the Tech Corner. I post content on tech and career on Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. I've been working in the corporate space for 5.5 years, specifically in tech, and recently, 6 months ago to be precise, or 7, it might be 7 months now, I started a new job in cybersecurity after leaving my 5-year career at Microsoft. The reason why the first 6 months of a new job is really important is because for most people this is like a testing period of whether or not you're going to stick with this job moving forward. A lot of companies, especially where I live in the UK, will actually stipulate a probation period in your contract when you start a new job. They will say in the contract that the probation period, which is usually 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months, is a time for them to assess your skills and see whether or not you're going to be a fit for the organization. And essentially, it usually states that they can terminate your contract at any point during that probation period. A probation period is also a time for you to decide whether or not you want to stay, and you can terminate your contract and essentially leave the company during that period without doing a notice period as well. So we know this period of time is important for everyone involved, but it doesn't really matter if you don't have an official probation period within your contract. That doesn't matter. The first 6 months of any job is still really important because, like I said, you're always going to be assessed. Your team, your manager, the company are having a look at you. They're looking at you to make sure that you're a fit to the organization, and you want to make sure that this period of time is successful. So how do we do this? How do we be successful in the first 6 months of our job? The first thing you want to do is that you want to make sure that you are like this with your manager or supervisor. Whoever is going to be looking after you, supervising you, managing you is the person that you want to make sure you have a good connection with in the first 6 months of your job. Your manager is going to help you determine what success looks like in the role, is going to help you set out clear goals and expectations, and of course, is going to be looking after you and your career moving forward. So you want to make sure you have a really good relationship with them. To build that relationship with your manager, what you're going to do when you start your new job on the first day, when you first have that call with them, what you're going to do is suggest to put a regular sync in the diary. They may already do this, and I think a good manager would, but if they don't, make sure you put a weekly or bi-weekly sync with them in order for you to catch up on a regular basis so they can help you to understand where you're doing well, where you need to improve, and what you need to do in the future. In the first one of these syncs that you have with your manager, you're going to want to spend this time building some rapport with them. You don't need to go in and talk just about work and talk about work for the full 30 minutes or hour that you have with them. Instead, you can spend this time getting to know them a little bit better as a person rather than just your colleague or your manager. So ask them about what they like to do outside of work. Do they have any hobbies? You can ask them respectfully about family. Are they married? Do they have any children? What films they enjoy watching, what activities they like to get involved with, do they have any specific interest? I really think it's important to kind of build that rapport in order to have a better relationship moving forward. If you really want to take this relationship, this bond to the next step, then I would definitely recommend meeting face to face and also maybe outside of the office. So maybe going for lunch, maybe going for some coffee, and just really getting to know them, getting to know the team, and getting as much value from them as possible. Remember, your manager is key to the success of your career, and you really need to have that great relationship with them. Your manager is likely to be your lifeline in the first 6 to 1 year of your job, so you want to make sure that you guys are well connected. You want to make sure you have a good relationship. You want to make sure you understand what makes them tick and what they expect of you. That is really important. What are the clear expectations and goals that they have for you in the first 30, 60 and 90 days of you being in that job? I would recommend literally asking your manager, can we set out a plan on paper of what you think that I should achieve, especially if you're in a task-based role. If you're in a knowledge-based role, that might look different, but if you're in a task-based role, just ask them, can we put together a document and then have activities which I need to make sure I complete in the next 3 to 6 months, and then we tick them off in every sync and make sure that I'm on track, because having those expectations is going to make your life so much easier, and it's going to help reduce the anxiety of starting a new job and not really knowing what you're supposed to be doing. Building a 30, 60, 90-day plan is such a key part of surviving the first 6 months of your job, and I recommend that everybody does this. I did this when I was literally preparing for my interviews. I read up about the job, I read the job description, and then I used that to create a 30, 60, 90-day plan, which I presented back in my panel. But then once I started the job, I then used that to help me to know what exactly I need to be doing in my role. Your 30, 60, 90-day plan should include your learning goals, so any skills that you want to develop during that time, your performance goals, so any targets that you want to hit during that time, and then also your personal goals, so any relationships you want to build with members of your team and how you want to be viewed by your team as well. Building a 30, 60, 90-day plan is super easy, guys. In fact, you can actually find templates online, especially on websites like Canva, but if you don't want to use these templates, this is exactly how you're going to build yours today. The first thing you're going to do is identify the scope of your role. So this includes reading the job description and figure out what the tasks and responsibilities for that job look like. The second you're going to want to do is determine your key performance indicators or KPIs. If you work in the corporate space, you would have heard that loads of times. If you're new to the corporate space, you will hear that loads of times, but KPIs are essentially targets and goals that you're supposed to reach in your team or within your role. Every department will have one, your manager will have one for you for your role, so make sure you understand what those look like, and those can be used to set out your goals. Based on your job scope from your job description and your KPIs from the organization, you're then going to want to write out your actual goals. So the learning goals, personal goals, and performance goals we mentioned earlier, these are going to go in your 30, 60, 90-day plan for each of those time periods, and you're going to set them out using the SMART framework. Most of you guys should know what SMART goals are, but if you don't, then no worries at all. It is essentially a goal setting framework which outlines that all goals should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound in order for them to be successful. SMART is used by loads of people across loads of industries, so you'll see this come up again and again. So make sure that all of your goals within your 30, 60, 90-day plan are always set out in the SMART framework. Once you've finished that plan, it looks great, you've put in all your goals, you thought about your KPIs, you've read your job description. What you want to do is you want to have a review of that 30, 60, 90-day plan with someone else. So this could be a mentor or a buddy if you've been assigned one, or if you haven't, go straight to your manager and ask them, hey, I've built this, how does it look? What would you add to it? How can I improve it? And does this align with what you expect from me? In the first 6 months of your job, you're going to want to be like a sponge, essentially. You're going to want to take in as much information as possible. You're going to want to do as much learning as possible. So firstly, ask your manager what onboarding learning you need to do. I'm sure the organization will provide that for you. So make sure you get through all of that, because that can take ages, guys. It's taken me ages to finish my onboarding, and I'm 7 months into my role. So make sure you spend all of your free time that you have at the beginning of your job completing that. Once you're done with kind of the official onboarding, the boring stuff, you're going to want to then start learning about everything else to do with the company. So you want to learn about the history of the company, you want to learn about its leaders, how many employees there are, how global the company is, so how many locations you have, any specific product lines that you might be working on, the culture at the company. There's so many things that you're going to want to learn. So make sure you reach out to your colleagues and ask them what they learned in their first 6 months. Is there a specific reading list that they can give to you so you can soak up all of that information and feel more comfortable during your period at the company? If you're going into a technical role, this is the time to take any exams, any certifications that you need to do for your role, because once work starts to get busy, it becomes far more difficult to do this. So make sure in the first 3-6 months, you're taking those exams, taking them out and getting them out of the way, so that when your job starts, you're not thinking about them anymore. And that's going to help you also feel more comfortable in the role as well. It's going to be so important for you to build a good relationship with your peers and your other colleagues within your team. So make sure you take this period of time as an opportunity to get to know them as much as possible. When you first start your job, you can go ahead and ask your manager who are the key members of the team you're going to be working with on a one-to-one basis or still as part of the team, asking for the names and the roles. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to reach out to every single one of those and putting a 30-minute call where you discuss who you are, introduce yourself, who are you, your background, why you started at the company, and then ask them questions about their experience, what they like about the company, what challenges that they're having. This gives you an opportunity to build a rapport with team members that you're going to be working with probably every day, but also it allows you to ask the questions you might not want to ask your manager. Again, just like with your manager, you want this to be authentic, you want this to be open, you want it to be a good relationship. So you don't have to stick to just like a one-to-one online, virtually, or in the office. You can ask them to meet over lunch or for a coffee, and essentially just be as curious as possible, be open, be honest about your experience, and really start to build those relationships, because those relationships are going to help you with your role. Of course, as they're part of your team, you may need them to support you as you get up to speed, but also moving forward. But also these type of relationships might actually turn into friendships moving forward. So it's a really good opportunity to not only get your name out there, start building a brand within a new role, but also to potentially make some new friends. Part of getting to know your team and the culture at the company is attending social events at work. Everyone is very different at work than they are at these networking events, social events. So make sure you attend. It'll help you to get to know your team much better, and it'll help you to build those bonds as well. If there's a reason you can't attend, for example, religious reasons, you might want to ask your manager if you can organize another event for the team that's not based around something like alcohol, because I know that can be an issue for some people, and there is a lot of alcohol-based activities in the corporate world. But maybe ask, like, can I organize something else? Can I bring the team along to something else? Here's a suggestion. Like, make suggestions and just be seen to want to be part of the social event. I know some people are like, no, I just want to go home. I don't want to, mingle with my team. I finish at 5:30 and stuff. But trust me, the game is the game. And sometimes we have to play, and go into these networking events, these social events with your team is a great place to get to know them and to kind of build your network within the first 6 months of your job. When I started my new job 6 months ago, I literally went around having coffees with everyone. I made sure that I was in the office so I could show my face on a regular basis. And I'm actually starting to get to know everyone better. Like I said, they help me with my role every day if I need help with anything. But also, I hope I'm starting to make some new friends. Once you're more comfortable with your role and also comfortable with your team, it is a good idea to try and get a mentor within your first 6 months of working at a company. A mentor is someone who can guide, advise, and support you during your role. This is someone who's usually a little bit more or a lot more senior than you, who has an understanding of your role and can help you really get ahead at the company and also within your career. Most successful people will have a mentor simply because everybody needs support, and that is what your mentor is there for. They may also have connections with people who will help you with your career. They might know a specific manager or a team member or a colleague that you may also need help with. They might have a good reputation at the company as well and can help you build your reputation. So make sure that you seek out a mentor within the first 6 months, someone that can really help you with your career. I get this question so much. It's like, Hosanna, how do I find a mentor? How do I do that? How do I get a mentor? And also, honestly, the answer is just to ask. Once you've met someone a few times and you understand that they seem to be doing really well in their career, there's someone that can help me. All you have to do is ask them. Take them out for a coffee or for a lunch, or if you have to do it virtually because they live somewhere else, do that as well. But essentially, just make sure you ask them for that guidance. Make sure you are clear about exactly how they can help you, what exactly you're trying to achieve, what are your plans. Understand whether or not it's a long-term mentoring relationship. It doesn't have to be. You could literally need something in the next 3 months. You might be like, I have a goal to reach this, to pass this exam, to get here, to reach this goal and I need you for this specific period of time. Can you help me? Or it could be a much more longer term relationship. So you can ask that for that as well. If you say, look, I'm really just looking for guidance on my career, on my career overall. Can you help me moving forward? These are the goals that I want to achieve in the next whatever period, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. Can you support me? And they'll let you know, yes, I can. No, I can't. Just depending on whether or not they have capacity. Don't make the mistake of thinking that your mentor has to be someone who's super senior in the organization. I feel like everyone does this. They reach out to people who they think, oh, because they've been in the company for 20 years or because they've been working for 30 years, they're going to make the best mentor ever. And I can't look at my peers for a mentor. That is completely wrong. You can definitely have a mentor who's only 1 or 2 years more ahead of you in the career. The reason why is that they could just be brilliant. Someone who's less experienced could be fantastic at their job. They could have a better perspective on the role or a different perspective that might help you as well. So make sure that you look at the people around you as well, and don't just look all the way up on the ladder, because they may not be good mentors, or they may be super busy and not have the capacity to help you. So check out the people around you. They could be the best mentors that you possibly could have. Finally, a key element to survive in the first 6 months of your job is getting feedback. Make sure you ask feedback for all the projects that you work on. This is going to help you to improve in your role, but it's also going to show everyone that you're working with that you have a growth mindset and that you're willing to learn. Some companies will have a formal feedback loop and a way for you to provide feedback, maybe on an anonymous platform. So ask your manager if that's available. If it's not, just politely ask for feedback once you've worked with someone, so they can send you an email, or if they've said it verbally, maybe they drop you like a message. And then make sure you document that feedback, guys, so that if there's any question around your probation, or if you have like an end of probation review with your manager, you can pull up that feedback document and then show them like, look, this is how great I've been over the last 6 months. Why wouldn't you want to keep me? Ooh, 6 months in your new job can be very overwhelming, can be very much a lot, but I hope the tips that I've covered today will help you. For anyone who's at the start journey, or for anyone who's at 6 months and there's anything that you've forgotten, you haven't done yet, you can always go back and start adding those strategies, start finding the mentors, building a network, etc. But I hope this video was useful, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.